Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. We are here broadcasting results with Rouse with another edition. We are excited, although we are on this wet Monday evening, but I am thrilled to have Miss Barr with Shepherd Funeral Home out of Scranton, South Carolina, bringing you the latest insights, updates, and success stories that matters to you. When we talk about families, we talk about death. It's important to have someone that is in the profession that can share some things with us, can definitely go into details. And so tonight, we want you to tune in. Tune in. I want you to go and tag her page, tag the funeral home page as well, as we dive into a impactful conversation, wanting you to take away some tips, some keys, and also make sure that the results is making a difference for what you and your family wants best. So again, tonight we welcome you, Miss Barr, to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All is well, all is well. And we thank you again for having time in your busy schedule that we do know to come on. So, again, if you all would tag Miss Barr, that's Miss Makayla Barr on Facebook as well as the Shepherd Funeral Home. Go find it, go find it, go find it.
Thank you.
So we wanna get started. We want to take an opportunity before we just dive into her profession. We want to kind of know a little bit about yourself. And so, if you can you just share a little bit about yourself and kind of what inspired you to pursue the career in the funeral home services?
Yes, ma'am. So I am the daughter of everybody knows of Tick and Fernanda Barr from Lake City. Um, I've loved. Well, I've been around the funeral industry for years since probably I was five. Picked my first body up when I was five. Sad to say, and um, and I can tell you, every teacher I've had has always said, well, I've always told them I would never be in the funeral home business. Like I love it, but I'm never in the funeral home business. I want to be a trainer. And seems like every time I try to take away from it, I get dragged back into it. And it took to until 2020, and I stuck with it. It took to a passing from a friend. My dad had we had the body, and it's just I had to do the live streaming, and it just took off from there. So I kind of stuck with it. Became a apprentice, got my license, and everything else is basically history.
Been taking off since then, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Again, you all, if you are just tuning in, we are here with Miss Makayla Barr with Shepherd Funeral Home out of Scranton, South Carolina. And she just kind of shared to us a little bit about herself and kind of what inspired her for getting on this path. As she says, she's been doing this since 5 years of age. Unfortunate but fortunate. 5-year old picking up her first body. And as much as she wanted to kind of get away from this thing, it kept coming back to her front door. And just a couple of years ago, she launched her official ownership to her, and I said her, funeral home, and we call that grace, yet a blessing to be able to step out on faith to do so.
Thank you.
But I want to go back for a second. You mentioned about getting your license, but
Yes.
what was your journey like as you were earning your college career degrees into navigating to say, I'm in college, I kind of want to go on a different path, but the funeral home keep coming back to my front door. So you graduated from college, got a couple of degrees there to becoming a funeral home director, but now to a business owner. What has that journey been like for you?
So I actually took a way different path. I went to school to be an athletic trainer. I fell in love with being a trainer. I worked through it in high school. I was an apprentice trainer, and it didn't happen until 2020. I actually got my apprenticeship. I was in college. I got my apprenticeship due to one of my dad's workers. He was just like, Kayla, you're your dad's oldest daughter. We already know your little sister's not going to do it. You just kind of got to help them because I've been helping them for years behind the scenes. And so I said, okay, I'll just get it. Rest is history. After I graduated in 2020 due to COVID, we had to come home. And I graduated not going to mortician school at all. It was just the process because I had a degree and just the training behind it. But it was until after I graduated college, Coker, and doing my apprenticeship. That's when I fully got my license in between that 2021 year.
Okay. Okay. Good. So since 2021, you've been doing some things like you say behind the scenes, making some moves here and there. But who were, I guess, some of your biggest influence or mentors along the way?
Okay, so I actually had three, um, and they all was in the funeral industry. They've always, but they saw me grew up. It was first Mr. Bowman. He's from Bowman's Funeral Home in Timminsville.
Okay.
He was one of my dad's really closest friends when it's business wise, and he's loved technology, so he's kind of like a man older version of me. Loved technology and then loved the funeral home business.
Okay.
Then there was another young lady. She was the first woman I actually met that actually owned two funeral homes. She owned one in Florida and she also owned one in Georgia. Miss Helena Gus for Celebration of Life. She's still sticking with me. She's like, I can cry to her and she'll give me the hard talk, and that's kind of like the person I can kind of look to and
Okay.
keep on. And Mr. R2 Williams from Ocean View in Myrtle Beach, he actually has three funeral homes, but
Okay.
him and all three of them had a collector and a big hand in helping me open this funeral home. So I'm gratefully and blessed. All three have been kind of in my life growing up. So
Gotcha. And I'm hearing that these individuals just not seated right here out of very much Lake City or Scranton. You're talking Myrtle Beach, Florida, Georgia,
yeah,
Timminsville. So that's good to know that you have a network that is abroad that you can reach out to a number of people to kind of lean on for support. I'm sure, like you say, to cry on sometimes, because I'm sure just being in this industry, you know, some people like to say, you have to have the tough skin, but we recognize again that we're still human, no matter what the tough as our skins are. But it's good to know that you have individuals that you can very well look up to and call on when needed. So I thank you for sharing that, and kudos to them for supporting you along the way.
just
Again, you all, I just want to tune in again. We are here broadcasting results with Rouse, and we have Miss Makayla Barr with Shepherd Funeral Home out of Scranton, South Carolina. You all taking a seat at the table to be able to tell us a little bit about her journey. And believe it or not, the path wasn't the funeral home. She
yeah,
was looking to be a trainer, an athletic trainer. But nevertheless, it kept knocking on her front door because she's been in the game for literally all her life, knew the ropes of it, and the fortunate part of it, it kind of kept coming back to her. And here she is today. COVID allowed her to take off in the essence of graduating from college. She went off to Coker College down there in Hartsville, South Carolina. Um, Went to go and take the test, and as many would say, the rest was history. But I'm proud to say that this is a black, young female that took a leap of faith, you all, to open up what is her first, not yet last, funeral home establishment. So I just want to say kudos to you for just again stepping out on faith, and as much as you wanted to run from it, here with it.
thank you.
Oh, so just kind of going back, 5 years of age, working. If you mentioned your dad's been in, and then you had some other ones along the way that you sought out as mentors or support. But what has just been your motivation? You've worked in the industry, but tell us what has been your motivation to establish your funeral home, and what has been the vision behind it.
So what happened? What made me want to actually open one? In 23, I want to say 23, I stepped away. I broke my shoulder, my collarbone, my shoulder, and I was working on a media project. So this whole shoulder was shattered, completely brand new. And I know a lot of people have seen. I've been sitting at the back of a church with a brace on my arm, doing services. But a lot of people didn't know behind the scenes it was a real struggle. Still trying to dress bodies and run paperwork, stay up all night, drive back and forth. It was a lot. So I just took the tough skin. I took the high road. I told my mom, I said, Mom, I have to step away. So I stepped away for 6 months, and I actually thought I was done until around October time, that 23 year, I had one of my pre-needs actually passed, and they actually went to a different funeral home, and it kind of hurt me, but it hurt me that they passed more than anything. So I went to the funeral with a friend, and I sat at the funeral, and the whole time it just kept striking me. I was like, did this person's family leave us due to the fact that I left? Or was it another reason? Or why did they leave? And it felt like we broke that trust from them. And so it took a month later. I remember it was November. It was around my birthday time. I told my mom, and she was like, Kayla, she said, what's going on? She said, you've been looking down. And I said, Mom, I said, Lolly's gone. The only person I call her Lolly. Lolly was my late aunt. She was like my second mom. So I told her, I said, she's gone. I said, I knew how hard it was when she passed last year. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm just have to go with it. I said, I don't want to go back to school. So she said, we got to figure something out. And I said, well, Mom, I really want to open up my own funeral home. And she said, what? And I said, I know you're going to kill me. I said, please don't kill me. And she said, well, if something you really want to do. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, okay. She said, I can tell that helping people makes you smile, regardless if you don't sleep at night or take 12-hour drives just to go pick up a body. She said, I can tell it makes you happy seeing other people, happy. And so I can tell you now, she stuck with me. She'll tell me even now to the day if I get a call, you better get up, you got a call. I was like, oh, get up. So I think it was really that the knowing that I felt like when I lost trust, when people lose trust in me because they need something. And in my profession, morticians are something people should come to, regardless of death. If you need anything other than death, just somebody to talk to. If something about your house, like estate planning or anything, just to trying to take the load off, that's what we're here for.
Gotcha.
So I felt like I didn't do my job in that sense, regardless if I stepped away or not. So I said, well, shepherds, which came from the Bible in the book of Matthew, really. And I said, Mama, my name is Shepherds. It's not about me. And I told her the reason. And she said, okay. And so next, it was my birthday. It's really the day before my birthday. It's right after Thanksgiving. My aunt came to me in my dream, and she said, "You're doing the right thing." That's the only thing she said, and I don't know what she meant by that. But then I thought about it, and I was like, "It's a home."
Mm,
I gave myself 4 months, and we opened up, and it's about to be a year next month. So
look at that. What
yes,
a blessing, right?
I know. I'm
So
thankful.
I heard you say November, and I also heard you say Thanksgiving. So I want to say that possibly we both are turkey babies. So I thought I'd share that.
Exactly.
But I'm sitting here listening at you share the what I call the significance of what you were kind of felt lost with a little bit in regards to the challenge of when you had to step away from broken your shoulder, just thinking about, how do I take off with this? And sometimes when we transition from different opportunities, people tend to fall off because they're wanting that support from us or wanting that trust from us. And sometimes when they don't get it, that's unfortunate. So I'm glad to even hear you admit um, your compassion for the people and knowing that, hey, what I've done for them or didn't do for them in that moment, I gotta continue this because I see what I could, how you can bridge the gap, I should say, in regards to it. And you didn't let I would say your current situation dictate how you was gonna move forward in your future. And given the significance of the name, of how you came up with it, I could just imagine your mom because she was probably just like mine, like, but you love a mother because regardless of it, they're going to be there to support you. And I kudos to your mom for sticking there with you because I know she was probably like, Lord, I don't know what we getting into, but I'm gonna trust you. But mom, we almost at a year. We
I
almost at a
know. They say
year.
a praying
So we
mother
give
can
it
do big
all. We give it
things.
all. Yeah. So mom, we about to plan a year anniversary. Like yeah.
Exactly.
Um, so I'm glad you mentioned that because that was going to kind of be my next question. Like, what were some of your challenges that you faced even starting, the funeral home? Because although you transition to do it, just still getting into it, sometimes you can run into challenges and, definitely just stepping out on your own.
Mm.
But I do want to ask this question. When you decided to step out on your own and given that maybe first, I don't know, 3 months, what was that like to just overcome that first quarter of opening up your own business?
It was. It was a struggle. The process, I know the process in and out, can do it in the nick of a thumb. The only thing was my weakness is advertising the name
Mm,
of the business and putting my face to it. I'm always, when people call my name, is okay, that's Tick's daughter, that's Barbara's daughter, and that was it. Or if they do know my name, it's a nickname rather than Makayla.
gotcha.
But now it's like I have to put Makayla Barr, and advertise my name, and that was the hardest part because I don't like to put myself first. I feel selfish if I do. I
Mm,
feel like I'm in a business to where I'm supposed to serve others and put them first in a sense because I've seen where a lot of morticians we do kind of, even when we do services, I've seen a lot of us we'll put ourselves in the front force of everything, like the funeral's about us.
right.
It's not about us. I'm not in the casket. Trust me. It's about I'm doing the process to direct that, to make things work. And I think that's my little transition of putting, make sure they know who it is. Uh, at the same time, being humble and kind and doing the godly way about it rather than the selfish way. It's a business, but it's a more humble business than anything else. So,
Well, we appreciate that. Oftentimes, just as you mentioned, we don't get a lot of that maybe coming from a mortician or from a funeral home segment because at the end of the day, they're still trying to sell the unfortunate of the next service to the next person that may be sitting in the audience, right?
yes, ma'am.
But I'm glad you kind of twist that in regards to the kind of the impact that you want to leave to the community. Like at the end of the day, I know the business in which I'm in, but I'm not here for me. I'm here to serve the community. So I appreciate you just touching that and being willing to share that coming from the profession in which you're in. So in saying that, like what truly sets you're about to be a year in. So what kind of sets you out there in Scranton, South Carolina, sets you apart from any other services that may be in the area or just the Shepherd Funeral Home itself.
I feel like I listen. I'm a more of a listener. So when
Okay.
families come in, I kind of like they don't know what I'm gonna give them or just a personal touch to make them, hey, this is a memorable moment for you. Because I know when my aunt passed, honestly, I've always loved to customize. A lot of people like to just customize a service, and it's not a meaningful. It's just something that's done. It looks nice.
Mm,
But once my aunt passed, and I've learned that those little meanings, the other everyone loves a person. I know we always worry about the informant, but the next of kin, in that sense, the next of kin is not only the only person at that funeral that loves that person. Everyone there loves that person, but they have their own special way of doing it. So if you show your love and passion for not just showing that you're doing this for that next of kin, but you're doing it for the whole family and the people and the friends, I feel like the meaning of it is in putting that personal touch, like a I know funeral homes might give one plaque, but sometimes I might give 7 to 8 plaques to like brothers and sisters, even if they haven't seen that brother and sister for 8 years. But sometimes a death can give you a realization of, hey, I need to get myself together.
absolutely.
They'll see the picture and they'll be like, hey, my mama's funeral, my cousin's funeral made me, straighten out or change my life. You know,
Absolutely. Just kind of a reflection in the moment, but it also allows you to process it after the fact that, hey, like you say, if I wasn't in touch, here's a reminder that I need to get in touch. Not
mm,
so much with the person that passed, but it may be someone within that family. So I appreciate you just sharing that because, again, you want to leave the impression again that it's about the community. So, regardless that we are in the moment of a loved one lost, we still want to make sure we're making an impact to those that are still living, to those that are still in the audience, but it also gives a spin that hey, Shepherd Funeral Home is here,
mhm.
right? We're here to provide for the community. Yet, although we're in the moment of serving for that particular family, so I appreciate that. You all, again, I want to tell you that we are here broadcasting results with Rouse, and that's Makayla Barr with Shepherd Funeral Home out of Scranton, South Carolina, just a few minutes out of Lake City, South Carolina, not too far from Florence. You also come on in, tag, 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 come on in and join because there's a wealth of information that we all can learn from yet a black female, young black female. Had to put that out there because it's so great to see our young people being willing to step out on faith. And it was just a couple of years ago when you decided to say this is something I want to do. I'm coming out of college. I want to be a trainer. I wasn't looking to do no more of this.
Exactly.
You couldn't get away from it because it was in you. I mean, it's just it's in you. Like you say, you can go to bed at night and roll out a whole service in your sleep. But I'm glad to know that you didn't run away from what have been instilled in you all these years. So we want to go, I want to dive into more like the business service provides, because every funeral home we do something a little different, right? So
Mhm.
tell us, like, what are some of the, I guess if I'm coming in for services, like what are some of the most important services you offer to a family during the time of their particular needs?
So basically, at every funeral home, I tell them it's really no particular. It's just how a funeral home basically plans it out, maps it out, and gives it to you. Here, we tell you you can get anything you want. Basically, we listen to you and we give you what you want. But only that here at Shepherds, our more value is showing you that we provide more of a shepherd's care. So that means, in the sense of, you can do a grand funeral at an affordable price. Because I believe in, there is, you have to live after a death.
Absolutely.
I don't believe, I mean, you can spend all the money you want in the ground, makes sense, but the next day you have to live. And I've seen way too many times, I've tried to help people keep their houses, doing probate in courts, and it gets crazy. And so I'm more value in, you have to live after this death. How can I help you understand that? Let's plan out the next few weeks or a few months, because you just never know what might happen.
Mm,
So I'm more of a font of shepherds, providing more of a shepherd's care. And so we provide packages, and even if that package doesn't work, we customize it, create it, do what we got to do to make sure, hey, you don't want a cremation, that's fine, but there's always an alternative to do a burial without breaking your budget, without breaking your pockets. So,
okay. So I'm sitting here thinking about the name, by the way. We talk about shepherd. Y'all, Miss Barr didn't mention this, but I'm sitting here when she talked about the Bible and the words, which I mean, we could find it a number of places, but I'm looking at some of the comments of people that are here, and obviously they're shouting you out. So just kudos to your viewers that have tuned in with you. But when I think about Miss Barr, you all, yeah, she's amazing. You all are right. But I just want to kudos to her name because she's also a little modest. So I want to share something when it comes to the word shepherd. Given what she shared so far, when we talk about the word shepherd in the Bible, it is referenced in one part that it is a leader. Okay, who cares for, guides, and protect their people. And so when I'm sitting here listening at her talk about, how she wants the funeral home to be basically branded at the end of the day, I love the effort of not why she told her story, why she named it. This is kind of my spill on it. That she is yet a leader, willing to care for, guide us through, and help protect her people. I mean, she just shared pretty much like at the end of the day, you can come in and get the grand scream over funeral services, or assure that after this you recognize that you have to live. And I so love you for kind of pointing that out, that you're willing to take a seat at the table with individuals to let you all know, like, after this, I want to make sure that you all still are able to survive. And so that's protecting your people. But as they come in, you're also guiding them into listening, as you mentioned earlier, kind of like, what do you want?
mm,
Um, whether you have the funds for it or not, I first want to listen to see what do you want, and then I can help guide you to ensure that I care for you, yet protect you at the end of the day. See how all that wrapped up, you all? That's why it's Shepherd Funeral Home. Check her out. Check her out. I just wanted to share that. Just thought I'd share that. But you all, if you're just coming in and tuning in, again, we are here with Miss Makayla Barr out of Scranton, South Carolina with Shepherd Funeral Home. So again, if you haven't tagged her yet, please tag, tag, tag. And if you have questions, you all, if you have any funeral home questions, please drop them in the comments. We'll take a look at them, and if we have time, we'll definitely share them with her. And if she can answer them, I'm sure she will. But Makayla, we want to move right along. Again, how do you consider to assure that every, I'm going to say every service that walks through the door reflects the unique life or legacy of the deceased person?
So basically, I kind of go on a whim with it. My mom tells me, she said, hey, basically, if that person feels at assurance when they walk out the door you done your job. And I said, yeah, you're right. But it seems like to me, I'm more comfortable when I see that person. Once I put that person in the ground, the deceased person in the ground, and I see that loved one smiling, rather than everyone's going to mourn, but they say, hey, I feel more at ease that John Doe has gone away, that they've done their job, and I've seen that they're smiling. I'm happy with that. And that's when I can go to sleep at night and say, hey, I did my job, I listened. So far, I haven't gotten that frown yet, so I think we're good. But if I see that frown, I'll say, hey, we got to go back to the drawing board, see what we can work out, because it's happened before when I was at the other funeral home. But I'm more of a, that's your loved one, that's your person. You want to, regardless if they're cremated, um, aquamated, or buried, you still want that service to be carried out. It's not really for them, it's for you. So
Okay.
if that service is carried out in the way that you feel more comfortable at, then we've done our job. So I think once I see that smile, I think we're good.
Appreciate that. So I want to go to something you just mentioned. You mentioned three different areas just now. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know most people obviously we kind of sort of know what those are, but kind of from your perspective as a funeral home director, can you in a brief way kind of explain to us those three different areas?
Yes, ma'am. So you have cremation, you have aquamation, and then you have a burial. So you also have different earthly burials where you shattered ashes. I mean, some sort. But I've seen to where modern innovation has become the past few years. A thing has called aquamation has come along. It's the same thing as cremation. Only thing is in the form of water and pressure.
Mm,
You have a lot of, I want to say, the heritage of African Americans. We don't like to say we don't want to burn mama up. So
okay.
some people still do aquamation. It's a little bit pricey in than cremation, but it gives that person a peace of mind. Hey, mama didn't burn up. We still did, the due diligence or whatever we got to do, but we just did it at a suitable process that's comfortable for us. So we do a lot of different um, burial and senses. If anything you need, trust me, we'll find a way to get it done. Rather it's cremation, aquamation, or burial. So
Okay. So that aquamation, if I said that right,
yes,
can
ma'am.
you tell me one more time? Because I know that's not cremation, and that's not the, I guess, to say the traditional burial.
Hmm.
Tell us one more time that particular area.
So it's the same version as cremation.
Okay.
Same chamber, basically a little bit different chamber as a retort chamber in some
Mhm.
sort of cremation chamber. The different process, rather than using heat, we use water and high pressures.
Got
So it still does the same breaking down of particles, fumes. It takes down a whole lot of fumes, but it's the same process when you get your ashes. It's just done a process in a different form. Rather than heat, it does it in water and pressure. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Again, you all, for those that are just checking in, thank you for, first of all, tuning in. But we are here with Makayla Barr. That's right. I have to say her whole name because you know her by her nickname and her daddy's daughter and all that great stuff. But this is Makayla Barr taking a seat out of the table, you all, by way of Scranton, South Carolina, with Shepherd's Funeral Home Services. That's right, you all. That's right, somebody. Black excellence. That's right. That is best. And we have your very own young black female funeral home director, owner, taking a seat at the table. And I just have to continue to clap on her because
Thank you.
so we want to go to your role because we know in the moments of services, as you mentioned, working with families, whether you're on the scene, in the back, up late nights, like you mentioned earlier, traveling 12 hours to rather go and pick up a body, trying to get all of that done. What
Mm.
does compassion and empathy plays in your daily work? 'Cause that's a lot.
Well, it's look. A lot of people use the word compassion. I use it as saying if you be humble, and giving a person respect and being humble and humility, having humility, it goes a long way. So some people see it as compassion. To me, is giving respect, and I have to be humble in it because you just never know when a person passes. You have a bunch of different emotions, and which is do be said. But I feel like the ignorance on us morticians is when we lash back, having that second response, regardless if we're tired. We chose this profession and we knew we was taking on. So sometimes you just have the outcome of different stuff. You got to control your outcome. Same way a preacher has to control himself in the pulpit, we have to control ourselves. So they have a 24/7 thing. We have a 24/7 thing too. Just
Thank you for that. Thank you. Again, you all, if you tuning in, if you have questions, please drop them in the comment area, and we'll be glad to take a look at them. And if time permits, we'll definitely ask them as well for Miss Barr. But Miss Barr, can you tell us, in your own way, kind of like what's the process when when we hear the word pre-planning funerals, and why is that important for families?
so I'll give the quick thing is if you have a child or if you have a next of kin person, I always ask them if something happened to you right now. Do they know where your insurance paperwork is? Do they know where your social security is? Do they remember your parents? If they do not answer the correct answer to any of those, then you need to do a pre-need. The reason being is as plenty of times I've had to sit down with families. We're trying to get the right social. What was their parents, especially with grandkids? What was the parents' names, the original maiden names? And those are the tough questions you really need on a death certificate. And so, it's plenty of times I've gotten up and left the funeral home, go with the family to the house, and try to find that social security card or remember where that pre-need paperwork is. So, uh, many people don't know is now with pre-need more than ever is regardless of paperwork, regardless of worrying about, hey, what casket you're in. We all know the world is changing. Prices are going up. If eggs are high, please don't fuss at me about a casket price. So, and it's a sense as a pre-need locks in your price. Once you have pre-needed and paid for your services and you sign the contract or even use the insurance policy from it, you basically locked in your price. So say for example your services has been $9,000, we locked it in today. You don't pass away to 40 years later, I have to give you that same exact service and the same exact price that you
Mm,
got 40 years prior. And so that saves you because we don't know down the line. It could go up five or
absolutely.
$6,000 for the same thing. So that's why pre-needs have come to be more of a lifesaver than anything else.
Absolutely.
Not just for financial reasons, but for also, hey, I'm gonna make sure my next of kin, my loved one, is less burden. Only thing they have to worry about is basically grief.
Gotcha.
Just go through the process and get themselves up to par. So when after I've been buried, they can continue and go on, not worry about 2 months. So.
Okay, so when I'm hearing the word pre-planning funeral home, as you just kind of gave us an overview, will a person needs to be paying whatever that fee is all in one, or is that like payment plans? What is that kind of? What's the payment process?
So you can do basically anything. So pre-planned is basically you plan the services out, you don't pay for anything. A
Okay.
pre-need is when you pay for your services, everything's mapped out, signed contract. The funeral home, the licensed funeral home that has a pre-need license, they will give you a trust with a official bank that has a pre-need. And so you
Mm,
have a number, kind of like a routing number, but the funeral home nor the family can touch the account, nor even the bank. The only time we can get the money out is when we hand them a death certificate and they can give it back. Now,
gotcha.
you pay for it out of pocket. You can do, over time. You collect interest. Say if you have an insurance policy and still want to do it, that's still fine. It locks everything in. As long as you keep your insurance paid up, everything's fine.
Hmm.
But the base of it is you can pay, hey, $200 this month, $300 next month, whatever you plan with that funeral home. Basically, you can do anything.
Okay.
I would check with your funeral home that you're gonna, plan to use and make sure that the process they want to carry out with you is suitable with them. With me, I'm more comfort. It's if you want to put $50 on it today and don't touch it for 40 more months, that's fine with me. Loans, that's what you have in that account. So.
Okay. Okay. And that's I'm glad to hear you mention that, because again, I just want people to understand when they're hearing these type terms, kind of like what's the breakdown when we hear about pre-planned funeral home services. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you mentioned that. Hey, it's not always the financial part of it, which I know some of that is it, but it also prepares you that, like you said, eggs are going up. So just imagine the things on the funeral home services side, would eventually be the same way. But you can lock in at this rate, and no matter whether it's 20, 30, 40 years from now, you got to be grant it $5, no matter if it goes up $20.
Mhm.
But it gives you that understanding to know that you do have some type of arrangements. Because I could just imagine when a loved one passes away and we have nothing in
Mhm.
place, and then we do have to come and sit in front of a funeral home to prepare services, and trying to straddle how do we get this done.
Mhm.
I appreciate you just kind of talking about that. But I want to go back to the shepherd, you all, as she is, which is someone again that cares for guys and protect the people. I'm not saying that that's why she named the funeral home that. I'm just going referencing that because she mentioned the Bible, so I had to go and kind of do my quick educate myself on it. And so when I think about that, Ms. Barr, and think about you, humble young black female, in this type service. You were 5 year old when you kind of been moving and mixing with it. And now that you are older and have taken a leap to go out on your own, I'm thinking about the impact that you just then made almost a year ago, but you've been pretty much making all your life. And so I kind of want to know for myself, along with the viewers that are watching, how do you stay involved when we talk about community impact beyond your funeral services?
So I'm more of a church person. A lot of people don't think so, but you'll see me either the back or you'll see me hiding in the musicians pit with the musicians. I love music. I've always loved music. My mom threw me in it, and I kind of like same thing with the funeral industry. I stuck with it. So I kind of learned to put all the things that I like, put them together, and use it basically on a daily basis.
Okay.
And so at my church, I am the media music director, and I've been there for well, since I kind of got out of college, since 2020. Been over worship, and I've I've come to the realization that music, media, technology plays an impact on everybody, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or whether we don't, especially with religion. And I've noticed to where COVID has made it to where everything is live streamed now. You've seen
Absolutely.
if it ain't on Facebook, it's on Instagram or something crazy. So I've come to realization as is if I can spread the word, not even just the word of God, but just an inspiration for somebody, even if it's through music, if even if I'm just holding the camera, that that makes me feel good. So I feel like that's my part in play on my. No, I won't say days off because there's really no days off, but when I'm stepping away from the funeral home, everyone knows I'm either doing something with the media, with something with the church, or I'm at a singing or a group or some technology of some sort. So
So,
that's what it is.
in hearing you, you allow your impact to be beyond the funeral services, but your inspiration also comes through music, through technology, which I mean that's pretty much the way of it. And you
Mhm.
mentioned Facebook, which kind of is going to lead me to my next question when we talk about social media itself. So I guess I can go ahead there. When I when I think about you in the music industry and just the technology, how do you allow like social media, how do you use it, I guess to say, to kind of raise awareness, and how does it help with your profession in the funeral services?
So I've learned to kind of put myself out a little bit more with the Facebook. A lot of people see now. My aunt's told me, she said, Kayla, you posting a lot more lately on your Facebook. I'm like, yeah, I'm moving outside my little range, but I'm trying to just show people that there's more to life than I won't say just scrolling. So if you do scroll, I hope you see something good.
Right.
I've seen a lot of where people and even kids they'll scroll through Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and a lot of stuff we see nowadays aren't as pleasing to the eye. And
Mm.
so I feel like if I can just show something inspirational or just show something positive, not just me, or show something positive to somebody else. That's more pleasing to the eye than something crazy that might just disinfluence somebody in the world. So I love little ones. My little cousins, they kind of influence me. Hey, they call me Kayla, MK. They give me the craziest names. But can you do this and this? Can you send me this and this? And I was like, okay. And so they kind of really brought me out of I wouldn't say shyness, but not using media and not using the Facebook so much. But they said, well, if you're gonna post it something good, since I
Hmm.
can't play Roblox, so videos and stuff where I'm at, and they've actually gotten to it. And you'll be surprised how much a child can learn from things that comes out of the church,
Mm,
not just the church, just like it doesn't have to be religious based, but something just positive. Um, I see too much where kids go to different places and they get hurt, wrong place, wrong time. You can always get hurt at a religious place too, but in the safe sense, I would say I feel like you're in a more of a safer environment
hmm.
in due sense. So I feel like that's just my trying to help the little ones say there's more to life than Roblox, and let's go see church or whatever. And so I can see a lot of them now that kind of get more into church, more religious. It's kind of going back to the old traditions, how we have to follow behind our parents, the church all day and stuff like that. So I just don't want to push it on them. I want them to see it, experience it,
Mm.
love it. And I've seen a lot of now the kids they're actually loving it. So I feel like they're loving it. It's genuine. Then hey, we're doing our job. So that's my
Okay.
job.
So I'm sure I have nephews, so I'm sure if they are just as much as my nephews, I know your little cousins is keeping you up on the social media platform because they love it all. TikTok, the Instagram. Uh, my nephews tell me all the time, "You on Facebook? You need to get with the other things. Like Facebook ain't it."
I know.
Yes. I appreciate you being willing, as a young individual that don't tamper into what is considered more of the negative aspect of what social media can bring to us, but you allow to use the platform, but more directed into a positive way of things. And like you say, it's not always been your thing, but you're coming more into it, but you're also allowing, the younger individuals to share their life through you, which also allows you to kind of show your push, I should say, to say, you know what, if I could use it, I'll share a life of being that shepherd once again, right? To care for, protect her people, yet guide them. Y'all remember that? Remember I told you that early on. That's the shepherd right there. But nevertheless, if you all are just tuning in, you all, we are here again broadcasting results with Rouse with Makayla Barr out of Scranton, South Carolina, with the Shepherd Funeral Home. Young, I have to continue to say this. Somebody said earlier, Black excellent. That's what I'm talking about. But young Black female owner of the Shepherd Funeral Home. And y'all, this ain't it. We are expanding. Y'all heard I said we. We are expanding. Because again, at the end of the day, we are a village. And we are, again, our brothers and sisters keepers. And I just commend you for just taking the leap of faith, although you are not. You take this path, you look at the direction in which it has taken you so far. So kudos to you. But you talked just now about your little cousins, and with you being a young Black female, I want you to kind of think about this question I'm posing to you. Although I'm saying females, but also to everyone. But what are you, or what advice, I guess I should say, would you give to young women yet males who's looking to get into the funeral home industry?
If you're willing to help others and you're passionate about helping others, regardless if you're scared of a body or not, I would say get into it. Like I said, I tell people all the time, my mom was be the last person behind me that I would say would probably ever work at a funeral home, let alone dress a body. So she got into it, and that was a long time coming. But she got into it, and she saw the passion and the purpose in doing it. If you have a purpose for doing something for others, trust me, the funeral industry, there is always something for you. People think it's just always handling bodies. It's not. It's more than life. You have the counseling aspect. We actually do counseling too. We need to. You do counseling, pastoral aspects. You also have accountings, media tech. You'd be surprised what the funeral industry has to offer. As long as you love helping people, trust me, it's a way, there's a will, there's a way for everything to be done. So
There you go. There you go, you all. You're hearing it from the Shepherd Funeral Home themselves, here to guide you, care, and protect for you. So, again, it's not always like she said to put hands on our bodies. It's different roles, yet duties that can come within the funeral home itself. So, whether you want to be that announcer, the dresser, as she mentioned, her mother was never the one that actually say this is what she was going to do, or be that, I guess, to say close netted into it. But again, she's been around it just as much as Makayla has, and here we are today, still standing strong with it. So when I think about, I think you mentioned about maybe 21, 22, around the COVID transition when you had the experience with a friend or someone and you decided to say, you know what, I want to take a break. Um, but then something keep nudging at you. You told your mom, this is what I want to do. And of course, she looked at you with the what? But Michaela, if this is what you want to do, I'll stand with you. And
mm,
so in doing that, you took off. And if I'm not mistaken, very soon you'll make a year mark.
yes, ma'am.
A year mark. Look at that, you all. I mean, what else could you ask for, right? So when we look ahead, Michaela, where do you see the Shepherd Funeral Home? Maybe in about the 4 or 5 year mark. Where do you really see yourself?
Well, I see ourselves still branching out in different cities. I won't say too many local cities, but just in different areas to where even if it's just a branch to where we can have like a counseling center or a branch to where we can have something insurance wise, pre need wise. But I just want to see to where we can help people in different areas, even if it's not a funeral. So hopefully in 5 years I can kind of see, hey, we're developing more all over South Carolina. It's not just about funerals. We're
Mhm.
helping the living figure out things even after death, um, to understand the shepherd's care part of it and live. And then if the funeral home, hey, expands, we just go from there and keep it going. But
Keep it going.
whatever God kind of pushes up, I, I'm gonna kind of throw it at my mom and say, "Hey, let's do it." I'm probably do it in a place, but she don't ever see me. So,
Well, your mom gonna say what, and she gonna go right with it.
exactly. But she sees the beauty in it, so
Yes, absolutely. I tell you, your mom reminds me of mine. They're there with those question marks, but nevertheless, they jump in with it, and you gotta thank them because sometimes they go 100, and you be like, hold on, slow down, wait a minute, hold on. I know I said it, but hold on. But
exactly.
and always count on mamas, and I thank God for mine as well, and just appreciate yours for just being willing to jump in there with you, no matter the wildest things you come up with.
Exactly.
With you. But you all are just coming in, tuning in. I want to thank you all on behalf of Makayla for just tuning in as she shared her journey with the Shepherd's Funeral Home. But if you have questions, you all, in regards to your arrangements, your family arrangement, or just questions, period, about the funeral home services, please just drop them in the comments and we'll take a look at them and ask them as well. But again, we were just talking to Makayla about what she's kind of looking at when we talk about maybe about 5 years from now. And I appreciate her just sharing, it's going to be more like an empire, right? We know we have an opponent of the funeral home services. But we want to be able to offer services amongst that will help support you so that when you get to that experience of have to bury a loved one, you already went through um, certain other components that will be under this umbrella. Hear me speaking over it, because we are the Shepherd Funeral Home, and whatever services we can provide with you, we're going to guide you, care for you, and protect you too. Y'all see what I did there?
Yes, ma'am.
But what I do want to ask though, do you have any upcoming I guess to say projects? I know you'll be a year in soon, but any upcoming projects or events or any new services that you would like to share to our listeners?
Yeah, so we're planning a new, well, planning something new with the, I wouldn't say handicap, but more of a transportation wise. Um, I've noticed the past few, excuse my voice, this pollen get me. But the past few services I've had the honor actually, of helping a few people that had a few transportation issues. And I know a lot of people with wheelchairs and different other sorts, but some people had the sense they don't want to feel burdened just because they're in a wheelchair. Uh, that shouldn't be a burden. And I know some people must be have transportation wise, but we've come to the point where Shepherd's Care can provide transportation to where if you need a wheelchair, you need handicap accessible van or truck, we have it. I want to say the last three, we actually was able to use our handicap van or even outsource if we have to, and we'll cover the cost. As long as we know that you're getting to your loved one's location, we can get it. You know, we can get it done. And it's been a success. They love it, so I feel like if you can pay for a service, I can at least try to get you there if needs be. So my mom said, "Well, you think you're doing too much," but I say, "No. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and just do what you gotta do. You know, you live and you die, so it's only one time." And I feel like if I can figure out something to do for you, as if we gotta be transportation, we just gotta do it. So there's that, and then we're trying to plan something for our first year anniversary. I haven't gotten around to it to where what I really want to do yet, but my mom gave me the 2 week mark. She said, "Hey, you got 2 weeks and figure it out." And I said, "Okay, right." So it's April already tomorrow, so I'll have a legitimate answer. I'll come to the drawing board more with my team on Thursday, and so we'll give out the big announcement what we're gonna do for our first year. So just stay tuned for that.
Okay, okay, good, good, good to hear. And if you all ever need a TR development group, this reach out. I'll definitely love to take a seat at the table and help you all plan out any type of event or services that you all need. Also, you viewers, if you ever need someone just to help iron out those little fine tuning things, definitely reach out, reach out. But I do have a question here, and they want to know what areas do you service?
We service any area of, I want to say, the United States. So basically, especially if you want to bury back home here in South Carolina and you're in Washington, there's plenty of times we'll hop in the car, we'll find a plane, and we're connected to many funeral homes. So if we got to call another funeral home, hey, just to go get that person, we'll do it. And they'll take care of you for us, someone we trust. They'll take care of you for us, and we get your loved one back over here, and if we got to drive, we just drive. Whatever we got to do to take care of your services. It doesn't matter the distance. If you're in another country, we can get it done. So there's no limits to it.
That's why we're the Shepherd Funeral Home, y'all, to guide you, care for you, and protect you. See what I did there again?
Exactly. I'm about to
If
use
you
it.
all have any more questions, please drop them in the box. Drop them in the box. And thank you, Miss Brenda, for that question as well. So we heard about some upcoming projects. I love I guess, say the service that you mentioned, because oftentimes when we look at funeral homes, when they pull up into a family member um, yard, most of the time we see the vehicles, but I guess it never just pondered on me to even think, as you thought of that component of there's someone that is handicapped, right? How do we get them there? And although sometimes being in the moment, as you mentioned, like, hey, I'm really doing too much, but again, that goes back to being that leader of the shepherd, right? You want to make sure you
Right.
can guide your family, care for them, yet protect them, and you saw fit to see that that is a need, and it could be sometimes something we just overlook that we're not even really thinking of. So I would say kudos to you and your team for just
Thank
seeing that vision of saying, you know what, this is an extension, and the least I could do is to assure that I am protecting my people. So thank you for that.
you. Thank you.
But as we kind of come to a wrap, Joel, if you have any final questions or anything, please drop them in. Miss Barr is definitely a busy, busy, busy lady. And believe it or not, although we're sitting here just talking about the funeral home services, she does a lot of other things as well. But we're not going to get into all of that. But nevertheless, she is definitely a busy, busy young lady. But I want to kind of go to your final anything else that you want to share. to the viewers or anything in regards to the funeral home services itself that you think would be important for people to know, something to keep in mind, anything that you want to share in regards to that area?
Yeah, especially when it's shared to a lot of the people individually about death. And since death is not something that we need to run away from and not talk about, because
Mhm.
there's going to be a day to where even the mortician is going to have to pass away one day. But we have to get our things straight, and it's the sense of not getting things straight for um, saying just because we just want to do it on our own. It's just a sense of if we love our next of kin or we love our family, let's try to get things done and wrap things up to make sure if that time's come, everything is easy. It's accessible. It's easy. They know where it's at, and they can actually live and go on about their life without being burdened about what happened during their death. So
Absolutely. So what do you suggest to family members that don't have, I guess to say, no direct close of kin, right? So sometimes we have our elderly individual that may stay in one area, but is not like close of kin. And so something should happen, right? Death comes upon them. What do you suggest to individuals to assure that they have pretty much all the necessary information that will be needed when you all arrive to that family member home?
So if you do not have a next of kin, basically that's basically close accessible to you, I would say anybody that you know in your family to be a next of kin. It can be, say, if you don't have any children, you have like a distant cousin you haven't talked to in years. I would say the best thing to know, let that person know, hey, I put my things aside. I just want to let you know if something was to ever happen to me, this, that, and the third. This is what's going on. Trust me, someone will get in contact with that cousin, regardless if they do. A week from now, a month from now, or whatever the case may be, at least they know the protocol, the sense of what you've done. Because I've seen it to where some people don't have anybody, but they might have a fifth cousin they haven't seen in 20 years. Um,
Mhm.
the person from 20 years found out 2 days later the person passed. At least they know what's the situation, how to handle it. Because sometimes you don't have finances set aside for your fifth cousin, but if the case comes, at least you know how to take on the situation at hand if it was to
Absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So you all, just if you're wondering, like, where is this funeral home at in Scranton, South Carolina? If you own 52, leaving out of Lake City, South Carolina, headed towards Florence, there is a BP gas station on the right hand side. You're going to turn right, go across the railroad track, and not less than maybe what, 5 minutes, Ms. Barr?
Not even 5 minutes. As soon as you cross the railroad track, you pass the church, you see the nursing home. I'm right across from the nursing home.
There you go. Not hard to find, you all. Just either one right, leaving Lake City, or one left coming towards Lake City. You all can check her out there. Again, this is our young female black owner right there in Scranton, South Carolina, with the Shepherd's Funeral Home. Here to guide you, care for you, and protect you. But as we close out, Makayla, I thank you again for the opportunity. But I do want to ask, you've been in it for quite some time now. And just a recap on our viewers, for those that may get an inspiration behind wanting to pursue the funeral home service business, not directly as a owner, may just want to work in it within. What have been like one of your most rewarding part of the work, and what keeps you motivated every day?
What keeps me motivated is the people I work with. Everyone has their own uniqueness. If you find that great group, they come together, put your uniqueness together, and we all come to the greater cause of serving people and making sure that person is getting what they want and more in a sense. And then I feel like everyone's done their job, and you'll know if everyone's done their job at the end of the funeral. If everyone's coming out there smiling and happy, even if the staff, I'm like, hey, we did that. I was like, yeah, that means you did your job today. The worst part is this the feeling of, hey, we served our family, we did our part, and it's off to the next day to do the same thing all over again. So
Thank you. Thank you. You all, I want to say thank you for viewing in tonight with Miss Makayla Barr, again with the Shepherd's Funeral Home, the owner yet she is providing great services out there. And I just commend her for being a young black female, definitely doing her thing. And now, as far as she wanted to run away from her calling, she found herself right back there doing it. So thank you very much for that. Thank you all for your comments. Just shouting her out, telling her how amazing she are, the black excellence. Thank you for sharing this, as I consider impressive to do pre-funeral arrangements which show true love for those you're leaving behind. Thank you for that, Miss Singletary. But thank you all again. As we close out, you all, the month of March, we're also closing out what is considered Women's History Month. And I thank you, Makayla, for what you've given to us as a community of women, for your service,
Appreciate it.
for your service, your dedication, and yet your compassion to the profession. And I wish you well. I know God's speed, you will continue to grow. And you all, if you ever need services for the Shepherd Funeral Home, please reach out. Again, she's looking forward to expand, not just in the funeral service itself, but also some other things that will be coming out. So be on the lookout. You'll see me sharing it periodically. So if there's anything that you all could want for a need, remember, Shepherd's Funeral Home is here to guide you, care for you, and protect you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you again, Kayla, for joining us. And again, to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we are here broadcasting results with Rouse. Stay tuned.